The book and now major motion picture Amazing Grace chronicles the struggles and achievements of reformer and human rights activist William Wilberforce. The movie profiles this exceptional man who was a hero to Abraham Lincoln and an inspiration to the anti-slavery movement in America. Joining us now is the producer of the new film, Amazing Grace, Ken Wells, and author of the companion book, Eric Metaxas, is back with us. All right, Ken, tell us a little bit about the story, because it's pretty amazing. By the way, the movie's doing very well, and it's in movie theaters all around the country. Tell us about it.
It is. This has been a labor of 7 years to bring the story, as Sean and Alan, of William Wilberforce to the screen. We started out to work on the story of John Newton, but in doing so, discovered this extraordinary man who fought for 20 years to end the slave trade. He really changed the world by what he did.
You know something, Eric, it's very often, as the story is told about the moral evil of slavery, we often forget the stories of those that risked everything to help free people. Now, we know about Harriet Tubman. We know about the Underground Railroad. We don't tell enough of these stories.
This is a story, it's one of those stories, it's gigantically inspiring. It's one of those stories that's genuinely inspiring, and this is a true hero, William Wilberforce. The reason we don't know about him is because he was the pioneer. He was the hero of people like Abraham Lincoln. I mean, he was the real pioneer when this was so unpopular, you dared talk about it with a straight face.
Yeah.
There was a few crazy people who believed slavery was wrong, and he was one of them.
Give us the acts of bravery that he showed.
Well, he was, first of all, he was a physically very small man. He had a very dramatic conversion to Christianity when he was about 26 years old. He was extremely wealthy, popular, well-connected. When he had this conversion, he thought, okay, I've been wasting my life up to this point. God, what do you want me to do? And he decided to stay in politics. And when he decided to fight against the slave interests, his life was threatened routinely. He knew this. He genuinely thought he would die young. He didn't even get married because he thought he would die young.
You know, Ken, isn't that the story that, you know, throughout this history of slavery, there were always those people that were willing to put their lives on the line, offer a safe haven for people that were on the run or seeking out freedom, or the dangerous journey south to north that many people were taking at that time.
Indeed, but it took William Wilberforce in that 18th century to really do something about it, Sean. If he hadn't done what he did to end the slave trade, and then another 26 years to end slavery in the British Empire itself, we in America would not have been able to do what we did with slavery. This film has been extraordinary because how long has it been since you've seen a film where the audiences in auditorium after auditorium stand up and applaud for the experience they've just seen?
Is there, welcome Ken and Eric, good to see you once again. Is there a God angle here that you're trying to get across? Is the evangelical angle that you feel that was a significant part of this man's life that enabled him to do what he did?
Sure. I mean, there's no question about that. No matter what somebody thinks about slavery or William Wilberforce, there's no question that his principal motivation, for sure, was his evangelical faith. But what's interesting here, to me, kind of what the big story is, he was an evangelical Christian before the split happened, where you had kind of like the sort of secular liberals kind of took the social gospel. Doing good became so mainstream that it was sort of divorced from evangelical faith, and then the fundamentalists went this way. He existed before that split, when you could not be a Christian without doing good to your fellow man, abolishing slavery and helping people.
It's an interesting angle, and Ken, it's interesting that in this country, when Abraham Lincoln worked to end slavery, and there's still a debate as to whether Abraham Lincoln was an atheist. Many people thought he was. But he became more interested in reading the Bible as he got older and later in life. It seems that the religious angle did not play as much of a role in this country in the ending of slavery.
Well, that may be true. However, Wilberforce's conviction came from his religious concerns and his conviction. In fact, he really went about to not also end the slave trade, but to have a reform of manners, morals, decency, and a return to civility. That's remarkable. And in our film, Amazing Grace, Albert Finney portrays John Newton, the author of the song Amazing Grace, which really tells about his story. And he persuades Wilberforce to stay the course. Don't give up. Blast the ships out of the water until the issue is really settled.
All right, Eric, you were shaking your head here.
I was saying that there's no question, Alan, that devout Christians played a huge role in abolition in the United States, especially in the beginning. Spielberg's movie, Amistad, tells that story. This movie tells the story of, 40 years before that in Britain.
Right.
But it was always a core group of people who were devout Christians. They were the only people in the culture crazy enough to believe that slavery was wrong.
What are the things that Wilberforce had to face, Ken, what were some of the obstacles he had?
Well, the obstacles were over and over, the opposition laying in wait for him. In fact, he was ready to have the bill passed one time and turned around to get the votes in the chamber, and suddenly members of his own party were gone. The opposition had given his own party tickets to the opera, and the bill was defeated when he thought it would pass.
It's a great story and a great movie, and one you can bring your kids to. What a
It
rarity.
is, and Michael Apted, the director, has done a superb job. It's really English all the way because it is very much an English story. Ioan Gruffudd, Horatio Hornblower plays Wilberforce, and he really owns the part.
He's better
We're
looking than
headed for some
Wilberforce.
Academy Awards.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we'll look forward to seeing it this weekend. It's in movie theaters around the country. And coming up, we're going